Yeah, we did a Bush wedding for President Bush's nephew.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep.
So how do you handle the privacy aspect of it?
With that one, it was really just such a shame, simply because they're high profile. The poor bride, I'll never forget. And at the wedding, someone posted a photo of her, even though they shouldn't have posted. They did a whole buyout of Garden of the Gods Resort. And someone posted a photo online, ended up that morning on Time magazine, everywhere, because President Bush got caught dancing at the wedding. The world had it posted by the next morning. So this poor bride, was eaten alive because people were critiquing things about her attire or things like, and most beautiful bride. I mean, gorgeous, stunning bride.
Just a bunch of basement
Just
dwellers,
mean
just
people.
judging people. Yeah.
And so, she sat on it and she said, Stephany, God, I love you and I want to share these photos, but the way that people reacted, I don't want anyone having them. Oh, wow. And I said, I will never share, ever, never. Like I just got chills all over thinking about that.
That's sad.
And so, that's a wedding I pride myself in. I mean, it had, Ralph Lauren's son, Barbara Bush, George Bush. There were so many high-profile people at this wedding, and I can't share it. But Jenna Bush Hager was there, Barbara Bush, all of them.
Yeah.
I got a pen the boutonniere on President Bush. I was cleared by Secret Service of I think 3 people allowed to approach the president.
Wow.
Things like that. So it was an honor, and I can't showcase it, but I will happily not do that for that bride.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
I got chills again over it. I hated that
pretty
for
cool,
her.
getting the pen of boutonniere on the
Yeah,
president.
I'm like, I have this sharp object going at a former past president. But President Bush was amazing. He was actually very good.
Yeah,
he was kind
seems
and
like a
sweet.
chill dude. All right, today we're joined by Stephany Knierim, the CEO of SK Events. Do you call yourself the CEO, President, El Presidente?
Yes, sure.
Boss lady. She is the CEO of SK Events, one of Colorado's premier luxury wedding planning companies with over 15 years of experience in the event industry. Yeah. Stephany's worked on everything from corporate events to high-end weddings at venues like the Broadmoor, so fancy, and the Garden of Gods Club. Known for her impeccable attention to detail and personalized approach, she ensures every couple's big day is nothing short of extraordinary. I've seen it firsthand, and I can agree. So let's dive into your journey, insights, and what it takes to plan an unforgettable luxury wedding.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that intro. That was lovely.
So tell me, how did you get into the wedding industry?
Sure.
What was the inspiration for that?
So I actually did corporate events back in San Francisco about 20 years ago.
Okay.
I was working for a hedge fund, and in my position, it was the office management, accounts payable type of position. So naturally, that's where events fell to.
Okay.
So every year I'd get to do our company retreats, our incentive events, all the different
How big was
events.
the company?
I would say we had about 200 people.
Okay. That's good size, yeah.
And so every time that events and holiday parties and stuff like that would come up, my boss would always say, "Oh my gosh, Stephany, you light up this time. This is when you glow and you're so excited." I'm like, "Yeah, this is my passion. This is what I love doing." And so that's when I realized I should do this for a living.
Cool.
However, sad news, but my mom passed away at that time. Okay. So I ended up resigning from my position at the hedge fund and moved back to San Diego, which is where I'm from.
Okay.
Just to be there with my family while, everyone went through all the grief.
Yeah.
And that's when the economy was at an all-time low. So everyone was firing, not hiring at that point. So I couldn't get a job for the life of me in the event industry because they weren't even letting people, they were letting people go, not hiring.
Right. That's one thing that probably goes pretty early on at corporations is like the big expensive events when money is tight, I imagine those kind of shrink up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the hedge fund I worked for was amazing, and they actually laid me off instead of me quitting just because they knew what I was going through with my mom.
Yeah.
And that allowed me to have severance for a year.
Oh, cool.
So I was able to work for free and volunteer, and I didn't have to count on the income. So I just went and, to every destination management company in San Diego and interned and, just gave my time for free basically. And financially I was able to do that because of the support from the company I'd worked with before.
And what was the goal of doing that?
To get into events, because people do not hire you if you have no experience.
Okay.
They will not, but yet you can't get experience if they don't hire you.
Yeah.
So
that's a lot of industries. It's tough.
it's definitely the event industry. So my being able to give my time for free was allowed me to get experience.
Cool.
So then I worked for a former congresswoman who was the chief of staff to Attorney General Jerry Brown prior to him becoming governor, and I did a bunch of fundraising for that as well.
Oh, cool.
Then I moved here to Colorado. That's when I had
What brought you out here?
my ex-husband, now ex, but
Sure.
we got married, and his company's based here in Colorado Springs. So
Okay.
at that point, I was part of the package. So
Yeah.
we moved here 15 years ago. So my company is actually 14 years old. You said 15, but 14 years old. We just hit the anniversary about a week ago.
Cool.
But anyway, so we moved to Colorado, and he says, "Why don't you just start your own company?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Okay, let's do it."
Well, you have the
So-
right attitude for it. I mean,
Yeah.
very much entrepreneurial, I
Yeah,
feel like,
thank you.
from my perspective anyways.
Thank you.
Do you feel like an entrepreneur?
I do. Yeah. I think that my interpersonal skills have helped me a lot
Yeah.
with my business. In fact, that's how I got going. Was I went to every single venue in Colorado Springs and talked to every vendor. I went to videographers, photographers, florists. Everyone was like, "Hey, I'm here. Let's do business."
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate. I can hear my ex-husband tell me, "No, it's not fortunate. You worked hard for it." That first year in business, I was asked to be a preferred vendor on the Broadmoor, the Garden of the Gods Club.
Your first year.
First year.
Wow, that's
So,
impressive.
I was like, well, I guess I'm a wedding planner now. So that was your original question.
Yeah.
It was corporate before when I started the company. I planned.
So you literally just went to the venue
Mhm.
and said, "Hey, can I talk to whoever's in
catering.
charge of events?"
Yeah.
And what was your pitch to them? What'd you say?
Hey, I want to see do a site visit, see the property, find out what you guys have to offer for clients that come our way.
Okay.
And that FaceTime is what connected.
Did you go multiple times to the Broad? Just once?
Just once. Yeah.
That was it, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy. Good for
Yeah.
you.
I'll never forget Nora. She was the catering manager at the time back then.
Okay, cool.
And she was amazing. She was from San Diego. That's how we connected.
Oh, nice.
And so, yeah. So
Sometimes all it takes is one person, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then naturally, catering managers change over time. And we've just been very, 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 very fortunate to continue that partnership with
It's
that hotel.
maybe fortunate, but also it's like you do really good work, right?
Yeah,
And as long as
thank
your clients are happy and
Yeah.
you're making your other vendors happy and
Yeah.
everything, and you run smooth weddings,
Yeah.
that's all people are
Yeah.
really looking for is
Yeah.
like everyone's happy, you
Yeah.
meet everyone's expectations, and everything goes smooth. There's no
Mhm.
pain, there's no
Yeah.
pain points. So,
Yeah.
that's great. Good for you.
Yeah.
That's a great story.
Thank you.
Love that you had the foresight to just I'm just gonna go
Just
and
do
the
it.
courage to just walk in and
Yeah.
can I talk to somebody?
Yeah.
I don't feel like people do that anymore.
Yeah.
Everything's online and let me just DM them. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
no, we still connect face to face, right? I think it's
I
one of the
think
reasons I like
that's-
doing this podcast in person. A
Yeah.
lot of times people are like, "Oh, can we just do it over Zoom?" And I'm like, you just miss something
It's
when
not
you're
as effective.
It's not.
No,
and this
it's
is way
not.
more fun. So
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Zoom. COVID
I mean-
made that happen. It was like
Yeah.
before we didn't always have to be on
it's
video.
kind of a it's kind of a necessary, it's a good tool,
It is, yeah.
but it's not and when you're trying to make personal connections and do
It's-
business together, it's hard to beat face to face.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay, so you do luxury weddings. Do you say that you do luxury weddings? That's
I
what
do.
okay.
Yes.
And how do you define what is a luxury wedding versus a non-luxury wedding?
Sure, and that's a good question. So luxury weddings, in my opinion, Broadmoor is a perfect example. It's a certain clientele that has a big vision. They're not just doing the bare minimum and trying to respect a small budget. They truly do go in with all of their ideal things that they want. They want to bring in a huge band. They want to have I don't know. I mean, it could be so many different things that
So it's not necessarily a budget number
Yeah.
that makes it luxury.
It's
It's sort of all the different variables. Like
The
the venue is a
scale.
big point,
Mhm.
is a big sales point, right? Because
sure
it needs to be sort of a luxury venue, right?
exactly.
Can't be someone's. I mean, you could have a luxury wedding in someone's backyard, I guess, but
Yeah.
or a cabin out in the woods. Like that's not your brand. right?
Yes, exactly. Our brand is it's just the clientele that we work with.
Is that what you wanted to get into originally, or is it just it
It
happened
just
over time?
happened,
Okay.
yeah, organically. And I love it. I mean, the clients that we have, I'm so proud to have as our clientele.
Yeah.
They're good, good connections. People that we stay in touch with after the fact, and
Mhm.
just they're wonderful. So we're fortunate to have them.
That's one thing that I miss. I was thinking about this the other day because one of my podcast guests was a former bride of mine, one of my first brides that I ever
It was
filmed.
like was it one of ours?
No, it was before I knew you. And she came on, and another. I've had several, and there was this time period, the first like 5 to 6 years, where I felt like I became friends with all of the couples. You know what I mean? Like I kept up with them and stuff. And I think I got too old. I don't know what happened, but over time I've shifted from like the friend, because we were like the same age, to now I'm like 10 to 15 years old. I'm like 15 years older than them. So I'm more of like a big brother almost role, and so I don't, I think because of the age gap, I don't have the exact same relationships with my couples. Sure. I don't know. Do you feel like that at all?
So we connect a lot. I mean, but the thing is, often I'll connect with the mother of the bride. Maybe it's because I'm older, maybe that's part of it too.
Sure.
A perfect example is a client of ours. Were you on your Gatis wedding? Shay Urgatis?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so shout out to them. Love
we'll
that.
Send it to them.
Yeah, love that family. And we met for lunch after
great.
the wedding to do
fun.
an overview of how it all went, and
nice.
Keeping in touch. And it's because
is that something you do often?
No, not often.
Cool.
It's kind of sad in a way, because you work with a couple for a year, 2 years sometimes, and you get to know them so well, and then bam, wedding day's over and you never talk again.
Yeah.
So I don't keep in touch with all of them because it's just not realistic.
Sure.
But there's some,
and they may not want to,
and they don't want to.
Hey, I liked you. I liked working with you, but
we don't need to be besties.
Yeah, exactly.
But then
it's fun to keep up with them online and see when they have babies and their families are growing and stuff, or they move. Like that's always fun.
Yeah, but there's some that you really connect with. That you're like, we could be good off, like outside of this situation too. And so that's one of the most amazing feelings, because it's like a pat on the back of, you definitely did well if you continue to stay in touch.
It is a really fun thing about weddings, where you just get to meet so many cool people.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, there's so many nice, fun people out there that are really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish, I'm a little envious in some ways of you getting to know them so much better than we do.
Oh, for sure.
We have a couple meetings beforehand. And then we film them on the day of, right? We film them and then we deliver it afterwards. And then the same thing. It's like, and we're done. Yeah. And not that I don't want to have a relationship with them. I would, but most of them probably don't want to have a relationship with a friendship with me. But it's definitely fun to keep up with. And the ones that when I started filming that I really connected with, and we were the same age, we sort of all have kids the same age. We're going through the same life phase, So that's been really fun. And
that's awesome.
I probably have like 20 couples that I'm still really close with from like the mid 2010s. 10 years ago.
I would say I've probably got more than that on like our Facebook page, on my personal Facebook.
Sure.
I try not to accept our personal, a client on my personal until the wedding's done. But sometimes you do, just, depending on the connection.
They sneak through the cracks.
They get in. They get in. And but you let them in because you like them. You're like, no, I want you on my feed. Or not, I want to see how your life is.
I want to see what's going on. Yeah, I agree 100%.
But I don't need every single client on there.
What's interesting is so we have the wedding side and then we have a commercial side as well, corporate side. And a lot of my brides and grooms have hired us on the commercial side. So I get to work with them in that capacity as well after the fact. So
I love that.
Yeah. So several of them, or a couple of them have been on our podcast as well. So that's great.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So what is your, when a couple reaches out to you, most of them find you through the venue?
It's all, so we're 100% word of mouth. I don't market anywhere. So every single person that comes our way, it's because someone verbally said to them, we recommend SK events, and or they're on our Instagram, or it was a future client, but it's all word of mouth, which I love.
Yeah,
it's very
that's
personal.
Pretty much all of ours too.
Yeah.
We're not running like a bunch of Google ads or anything like that.
I've done it and it doesn't pay off.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a waste of money.
Or you get bad leads. That's us. Is like they get people with very small budgets, right? Word of mouth, you just sort of like. I'd say like 9 out of 10 when we get word of mouth are like perfect ideal clients for us. And so, whereas if you run Google ads or Instagram ads, like you're going to get 100 inquiries and maybe 3 or 4 or 5 are like your type of client. Exactly.
Because part of it is interviewing them as well.
Oh yeah,
it really is.
I feel, let's be honest. I know where videographers rank on the hierarchy of vendors. We're towards the bottom.
I was going to say, do you want me to tell you where?
You don't have to tell me exactly where.
I can tell you why, though.
I'd love to hear why. That's not why we're here. You can give me a brief.
Because you're an optional vendor.
Sure.
You're not required. You have to have a photographer.
You have to have a caterer.
Yep, exactly. But when it comes to budget, they decide videography at the end based on budget.
Yes, almost. I'd say half.
Yeah.
I'd say half.
Yeah.
Half of them are like, we need a video. Yeah. You could probably speak to the numbers better than I can because But I definitely, we get 2 to 3 a year that are like, I'm like, oh, who's your photographer? They're like, we don't have one yet.
Oh,
We wanted to hire, like, we have been following your work. We like you
good.
guys. Someone referred you. We want to make sure we have you.
Good.
I get reached out to, people don't even have a venue or a date yet sometimes.
Wow, good.
So it's maybe once or twice a year. It's not often.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a lot of times, let's wait and see if we have money in the budget for a video.
And I hate that. I do pitch for you guys though. I'm like, you guys trust me. They're just as amazing as your photographer. It's not any different.
Well, I appreciate that as always very much. I totally understand it though. And I get it. It's optional. I joke around with people all the time. Like, look, I don't even think I can afford my own services.
Right.
I can't afford to hire myself, So I totally get it. And that's fine.
I do too.
But basically sort of when a couples reach out to you, what is your sales pitch? What's your value add, that you sell them on, why they should hire you?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that the biggest sales pitch that we have is that we're the liaison between everyone in their wedding. So whether it's the venue or your videographer, your photographer, your florist, or your mother of the groom and your bridesmaid, we have to navigate all of that. And that is not easy to do.
Do you think sometimes people underestimate how hard that is?
Absolutely. I mean, you've seen us run ragged on property on a wedding day. You're bouncing from one, there's someone over here that needs a boutonniere and someone over here, is upset because something's not being set up properly. And then all of a sudden your DJ is running late. And I mean, I could point out 1,000 examples and you have to somehow make sure you manage all of that, not looking stressed, and still be checking on your client and, making them feel like you're taking care of them.
You're spinning 1,000 plates, but you have to make it look like you're not at all. You're 100% focused on.
And it is much harder to do than you would think. I think that's actually part of why the SKs succeeded. Firsthand, like my vendor team means the world to me.
Yeah.
You guys, treat you
the lifeblood, right?
Yeah, we got to take care of each other, so when you need something, I want to be there for you also. And so part of what I think is important is not just making the bride and groom, of course the bride and groom is the first and foremost to make happy that day, but I want my entire vendor team happy as well. I want my venue happy. I want it needs to mesh well together.
Keeping like positive attitudes on a wedding day is so important. I think that's one of the things that I'm keenly aware of and try, even if I'm not feeling it that day, you would never know, right? Because you have to have a good attitude.
You got to be bubbly.
It is their special day. So you have, no matter what's going on in your life or happened that day or whether you got stuck in traffic, you're running late, like you got to put the smile on. You have like a good attitude, be a team player, do your best,
Absolutely.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I've seen where couples, when I first started off and was in sort of a lower price point, I saw where brides and grooms or mother of brides, a lot of times, or a friend would try and do the planning. It's not that it's not even that it doesn't go well, because sometimes it would go okay.
Yeah.
It's just the stress.
Yeah.
It is so stressful because they've never done it before.
They've never done it, and then that person
you've done it hundreds of times. I've done it hundreds of times. So it's wedding days are not stressful for me.
Yeah.
There are stressful moments.
Yeah.
And maybe you could speak to this a little bit, but like
Sure.
there's nothing that I haven't seen, right? And I know, guess what? You're still going to get married.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we're still going to make an awesome video for you. You're going to have an amazing day. Yeah. It's going to be one you remember for the rest of your life. It's going to be beautiful. So whether the flowers got put in the wrong spot or the violinist is 20 minutes late, like everything's going to be okay.
That's what I tell our couples all the time. I say, if you want a successful wedding, you need to go into it with an open mind, go into it flexible. There's going to be something that doesn't go perfect.
It's impossible to have a flawless day.
It could be just the smallest thing, your pajamas feel tighter than they did last time when you tried them on. I don't know.
Yeah.
But going into it with an open mind and a positive attitude and being able to relax and just accommodate whatever's going to happen, that's how you're going to have a good day.
Yeah. That's my MO is like to be a calming presence, because I've done this. I've shot 350 weddings or so, and nothing stresses me out. So it's just like, I'm going to show up early. I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to make sure I'm like a calming presence for the bride. That's my goal. Well, thank you.
Yeah, you do.
I try. It also comes from like having good people. You know what I mean? Working with good vendors. That's so underrated.
Well, and it's the point of what I said, we take care of each other.
Yes.
So when you know that, for example, SK's, the planner, you already know that it's going to go well because you know how I work and how the, timelines are very detailed. And, we have, photographers like Cassidy Brooks, shout out to you as well.
Love Cass.
I know, I love it, and I always pair you guys together because you guys work so well together.
Thanks. She's so easy to get along with.
She's easy, yeah. And I tell our clients the same thing. I'm like, you want your videographer and your photographer to work well together, because if they don't, ooh, that could be not good on wedding day.
Again, it comes down to, I think a lot of videographers don't realize their place in the hierarchy, and they're trying to do too much, and they're trying to take too much control, and they're like, I need them for this amount of time. I need to, and they're too high demands. It's like, no, you just need to like get what you can when you can, and also gauge like how important the video is to the couple.
Sure.
Sometimes it's really important, and they're willing to take that extra 10, 15 minutes with you during sunset.
Read a letter.
Yeah, exactly. Just to do that. And then sometimes, and so it just comes from experience and pre-production, and like understanding what they want in the video, sort of selling them on your vision a little bit, but also understanding where you're at in the hierarchy of what they want when it's all said and done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes they just like, no, we just want it documented really well. And, you know, we don't want to take a bunch of extra time to do special things for the video. We want to use that time to, you know, go to cocktail hour or to spend with our families. It's like, okay, you have to just be okay with that. Yeah. Be like, okay, cool. Like, we'll make that work for you.
And that's good that you do that, because, you know, it's not about you that day. It's about what are the couple, you know, what does the couple want?
Right. And I think a lot of the videographers and photographers early on in their careers, they're still trying to get these like portfolio pieces. So every wedding is super important to them. And at some point, you know, they'll work through that, and they will be like, okay, they'll realize like, every wedding video isn't going to be, when I started off, every wedding video was my new portfolio piece, because I was getting better. You know, I was like, oh, this one's going to go on my website. And then the next time I was like, no, this one's going on my website. And it's like, and you realize that, and then you get to a point where you find your own voice, and you find your own rhythm, your own style, and you're able to be like, you know, once or twice a year, we'll shoot away and be like, that was a banger. That was a good edit. Everything came together perfect. We'll put that one on our website. We'll pump that one out there. And the rest of them are like really great and really good, but maybe you don't put, you know, you're not replacing your portfolio pieces on your website with it.
I love that feeling though, when you get those that you walk away and you go, oh, we killed it.
Nailed it.
You're just like,
you can tell on the ride home too, right?
Yeah.
You can tell on the ride home. You're just like, that was it. That was a good one. So.
And this goes back, I'm sorry, just to say, you talked about wedding days aren't stressful to you. They're not for us either, because at that point we've done all the work.
Yeah.
Like wedding day is like taking a final exam. You've done all the studying, and now it's just, let's see it.
Yeah. And part of that is like doing so many weddings and just like knowing we've seen everything that can go wrong, and we're sort of prepared for it. It's just like part of being a professional in the wedding industry, in my opinion.
You have to.
We have backup cameras. We have backup batteries. You know, if a piece of gear breaks, it's okay. We have alternatives that we can, you know, we have different things we can do. So it's not that big of a deal. Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, being in the luxury wedding industry, what is like the most extravagant request you've ever gotten? Can you think of something crazy?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I'm picturing I always feel like I'm saying the wrong word. Aerialist? Is that the people that like hang on bars? Is that what that's called?
No, I think that's another word for nipples.
There's a name for it.
Areolas?
No, aerialist. They're like
aerialist.
That is what I'm trying to say. I can never
aerialist. Yeah.
Is that the right word?
I think you said areolas the first time.
No, aerialist.
Okay.
I don't know if that's the right word, but where people literally are like climbing around.
People can look it up if they're interested.
Yeah, people are climbing around on like
people were
bars and doing all these.
I didn't know where you were going with that. Okay.
And so we had those, you know, literally just in the corners of the room, random people in like gymnasium outfits. Well, just during the portion.
Okay.
But that was an odd one to me. That was
pretty
like,
fun, though.
You know, it's like, you know, having people swinging.
Did you have any drunk groomsmen trying to get up on the rings?
No, thankfully.
We had that wedding where someone passed out.
Oh, was that the one up at Cheyenne Lodge?
2 people, at the Cheyenne Lodge.
2 people.
Yeah.
A guy, and then all of a sudden,
I think they dehydrated, took some gummies or something.
They took too many gummies because it's Colorado.
Yep.
And so one dropped, and then the next guy dropped, and all of a sudden the room's like, what is going on?
Yeah,
no one wants to touch their food or drink.
I felt so bad because we skipped because of that.
Yes,
we skipped the toast,
and it was
which is like a big part of what we like to capture and incorporate.
Even worse, I don't know if you remember this, but we had planned out for all of the staff to be dressed as band members, and the band members were dressed as so staff was dressed as band members, and band members were dressed as staff, so they looked like opposite.
Okay,
so that
I kind of remember that
when we were going to start it off, it was actually the band members singing, but it looked like your server.
Okay,
and that was how the mother of the bride was going to kick pick off her toast,
Oh,
and she couldn't do that after people are laying on the floor.
dang, that sucks. I remember that.
Perfect
Yeah.
example how you have to roll with the punches, though.
Yep. And what I ended up doing was taking a light out in the parking lot and finding a quiet spot and filming and letting people kind of give their toast to the camera so that we had the audio at least.
Yep.
And I wanted the couple to have that.
Yeah.
So
they didn't get their toast out of it.
They didn't. And, you know, it didn't look like it normally does. It wasn't the same energy, same vibe. Yeah. But at least they got to sort of give that message and we got to capture it for the couple because they weren't there. So we filmed it and gave it to them after the fact.
Well, I'm glad you did that because, it's a shame, you know, that two random people just drop like flies off the dinner table.
Kind of ruin a big part of the wedding.
It felt like a murder mystery. Like I was like, oh my gosh, who did it? Was it, you know, Professor?
Lindsay, that was Lindsay and I forget his name. I can picture their faces. Anyways, I just remember him at the beginning. He gave a toast and he's like, "Let's fucking go!" And we included that in the wedding video. It was so awesome.
Those are clients. Those are the kinds of clients. Those are the ones. Like those were one of my favorite. Like I walked away going, I love this family.
Yeah. They had such great energy, and they rolled with it. They were cool. They're like, "Oh, that sucks, but okay."
That is why their wedding still.
That's
succeeded.
part of you setting proper expectations with them up front.
Now I never thought that people would drop off.
Right, but
chairs. Now keep in mind those two guys though were up in an hour with the munchies at the late night snack table. So they were totally fine. But there was a good 30 minutes where all the guests were like, I don't want to eat or drink anything in front of me. Because what's in the food?
Know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone was kind of panicky, like it was a murder mystery party.
I'm sure those guys feel bad. I think it was like a father.
It was like an uncle and a nephew.
Yep.
So yeah, advice to anyone getting married: higher altitude, drink water,
drink a lot of water, and go light on the gummies. And just
one gummy, just one only.
5 milligrams, 10 milligrams is plenty for up here.
Oh my goodness.
How do you go about? Because let's face it, just between me and you, every wedding sort of has a lot of the same elements.
Very much.
And so what we do to try to make each wedding unique is like really drill into the couple's story and like what makes them unique as people, because that's the difference. That's the main difference between each wedding. Yeah. Right. The dress, the flower, the food, they all kind of have the same flow and energy, with variations, but we can drill into the couple's story. What is it for you? How do you as the planner try to make every wedding feel unique and personal?
Absolutely. So we want to get to know the bride and groom and, how they met, what their things are together. Do they love popcorn, and they're always watching movies together. And, so then we want to bring in a popcorn machine to the late night snack situation at the end of a reception. Was their first date over ice cream? Well, then I want a sundae bar at the reception, so we try to pick little things from their journey together.
Okay. Is that something you're talking about with them?
Absolutely.
Or is it something that you're pulling out as you're listening and then pitching later? Or
both.
Do they come with ideas?
Well, both. There's certain things they don't realize that they're saying something, but they mention, something by chance that is a perfect touch.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, that needs to go on a napkin. Cocktail napkin,
There you go.
A lot of people, their dogs are always,
So you're listening to their story as well. And so it's the couple's story that makes yours
Absolutely.
unique as well.
Yeah,
and
it'd have to
you're
be.
just kind of doing it, turning it into like physical, in-person, experiences and things and design.
Yeah. A perfect example, a bride of ours, her grandparents got engaged and married at the Broadmoor many, many moons ago. And the chef, this was so long ago, hand wrote the Broadmoor dressing, like salad dressing menu or recipe on a Broadmoor napkin. And so we had that duplicated. So all the guests had the recipe.
Oh, that's cool.
And this was, 50 years ago that the napkin was written.
Love that. There's so much history at the
Broadmoor. It's a personal touch,
you
know, and that's the stuff people remember when they go home.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Because anything that physical that they get to bring home is really fun.
Yeah. But then likewise, I don't want to waste the time on stuff that's not important. A little favor that's just a piece of chocolate. Do better. Just either don't do it or do something that's meaningful.
Yeah, you don't have to do it.
You don't have to do a favor. If you don't want to do a favor, don't. Yeah. But if you do a favor, do one that's got sentiment behind it.
Speaking of favors, what are some, you've been in this thing for a while now too. What are some trends that you see that you're excited about? And then what are some trends that are going away that you're excited they're going away?
Okay, big bridal parties are finally going down and just big bridal parties.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's a lot.
10 on each side, that's 20 people, that's 40 people that I have to, have listen at the rehearsal because, and they're all
everyone needs to say something.
And they're all seeing each other for the first time, so no one's listening. And it's a lot and it adds more stress to the couple. Ultimately, wedding day, there's a heck of a lot more questions coming at them and
People
text
complain about how
messages.
expensive weddings can be if you're in the wedding too. So it's a little less financial burden for a lot of people.
Yes, and for the couple, because every bridesmaid bouquet, that's $100, you know. And so seeing that bridal party size go down, and kind of, I will definitely thank COVID for that. It's kind of becoming more intimate. The micro wedding and just a smaller size wedding is happening.
Just a little more intentionality, maybe.
Yeah. I like the fact that it takes the stress away from the couple. It lets them be there for what they're there for.
Cool.
And I mean, big weddings are great too, but I am happy the bridal party sizes are going down.
Yeah,
it's a lot of people.
It is. I mean, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, do whatever you want.
Yes, of course.
But if you're open to having a smaller bridal party, I think it's a little more intimate.
I think you'll thank yourself later for that. Along with a first look. I think that first looks are very important. I assume you do.
You like first looks?
I do.
Okay.
Very much. I think that you don't spend half your day hiding from each other.
Yeah.
So you actually get to be with your husband or wife on your wedding day. And B, you take all of the stress away from trying to cram everything in one little hour.
Yeah. From a logistics standpoint, I think it's great.
Yeah,
I love it. It's super romantic,
and it's still intimate.
I think it's totally up to the couple.
Yeah.
I'm agnostic to it.
Yeah,
I think it makes a lot of sense to do it.
Yeah.
If you're open to it and you're on the fence, I say go for
Yeah.
it. But also those couples who choose not to do it,
absolutely,
it makes such a cool moment
Yeah.
when you come down the aisle. And for us as like cinematographers trying to create a story, that's like the apex of the video, right? So that's the crescendo of the video.
Yeah.
The doors open, he starts crying. Like there's just so much emotion behind that moment.
We're taking that from you when we do
a little
first
bit. We have a couple that we're filming coming up, and they were like, "Yeah, we definitely don't want to do it. It's in Breckenridge.
Yeah,
they're having like a Catholic ceremony, a little more traditional, and they don't want to do a first look. And they're like, "Is that okay? Are you okay with not doing that?" And I was like, "Dude,
I'll never push
so
it.
it's like I'm cool with either way because
Me too.
it makes it easier if you do it, and it's still romantic and sweet, and we get to like maybe create some moments that you wouldn't have otherwise.
But it tells a better story.
But it makes for a very impactful moment in the video if you don't do it.
Yeah.
So I'm good either way.
I'm a bigger fan of first look. However, I will never, ever, ever sway someone, especially if their whole life they've pictured walking down the aisle. I'm not going to take.
Well,
that
you
from
can just
them.
tell them the pros and cons and just say like, here's the pros and cons of doing each one, and let them decide.
And then you decide.
And you can put your thumb on the scale a little bit and be like, hey, look, if you care about like seeing your guests at cocktail hour, if you care about getting through family photos quick, if you care about sunset photos together, I'm sure there's other things that I don't think about from yours, but if you care about those things, then let's do a first look. If you want to get that those nerves and jitters out of the way, because I think so many times like the thing that people say is like, I missed you, like I just want to see him, I just want to see her. Like so
you're with the couple's pre-ceremony more than I am.
Oh yeah. So
by a long shot.
They love that moment of like getting to see each other. It's your best friend, and you spent
your whole day not seeing each other.
Exactly. It's like the person, and you're so excited to see each other, and you get to have that. And then Cassidy is great at this too, and we try to do this is let's shoot it, let's capture the moment, and then give them like 5-10 minutes. We walk away and we just let them have a few minutes.
And we do that later for them too.
They're not getting photographed and filmed, and we're not recording audio, and they just get like 5 to 10 minutes just to like without people peering in, voyeurism.
We do that. So you know how we always do a room reveal where we show the couple the space before they get all their guests to go in and
I like that.
Completely destroy it. We love to then do a private moment where they like we, not that we force them, if they don't want to do it, of course they don't have to, but where we put them in a room, just the two of them, and take a minute for the two of you, before you have to have 100 people hugging you, and
that's things that people don't think about. You know what I think about a lot is like, because when people are screening us or we're doing like a sort of a initial call, they are always like, I don't know what I'm supposed to ask.
Sure.
I'm like, I get that. This is your first time. This is you've never planned a wedding before. This is your first time. You don't know what to do.
Sure.
So here's the questions that people typically ask.
I'll tell you.
Yeah. Like, let me tell you what you need to know.
And for us, it's easy because I go, and that's why you're calling a wedding planner.
Right,
it's actually a perfect pitch when they don't.
Yeah. You're like, yeah, of
and
course.
that's why we're here.
That's why we exist, because you've never done this before, and you're never going to have to do it again.
And you don't have
so
to
you
do
shouldn't
it again.
have to learn how to plan a wedding.
That's why we're here, is to guide you through that.
Exactly. You shouldn't have to learn how to film a wedding either, or do without.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Are there any okay, first looks, what, for me it's the like the garter toss and the bouquet toss. Again, if you decide to do that, go for it. We'll shoot it. It'll be fun. But like
it's just dated.
The bouquet toss is fine. It's cute.
I can handle that. But the garter toss.
The garter toss is very
getting up in there, in front of all your friends and family.
Yes. As a father of 2 daughters,
you don't want to see it.
I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that.
Honestly, I
Pass.
cannot even tell you the last time I did a garter toss.
It's been a long time.
It's that long ago.
I'm from Texas. It's a bigger thing in Texas.
Yeah.
What's also in Texas? You've probably seen this, but groom's cakes.
Oh, it's huge. Yeah. As well as the wedding cake.
But they don't do that here in Colorado. Almost never.
Well, a lot of our brides are from Texas, or I should say couples, not just brides.
Yeah, yeah.
I always say bride and forget the groom.
Yeah. We're forgettable.
I forget him. I'm like, it's all about the bride. No, I'm just
Well, the
kidding.
groom usually has like 1 or 2 things that they really care about.
Yeah, food and music.
And then they're like, I'm doing, or it can be anything, It's just like, no, we're doing this.
Yeah.
I want this type of food.
Have, though, is strong.
And you're just like, yeah. And you're like, all right, we have to do that then.
Yeah.
And then the bride is like, I planned my wedding. I had like 2 things I cared about, and then everything else. I was just like, whatever. I don't really care.
A lot of our clients, so most of our clientele are destination brides. They come from, or they have a connection to Colorado. But a lot of them are from Texas. So many. And so cake is big in Texas.
Yeah.
I remember we did a 13-tier cake.
Was it a real cake, or was it one of the...
That one was real. That's before they started doing faux cakes.
Yeah. How do you feel about the fake cakes?
I'm okay. I like it.
I get to.
I think it's good. I think it makes sense. You still, get good quality in your cake.
It's just economical.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. Nobody cares.
No one notices.
Nobody
and
notices.
it allows you to get your that dessert course out quickly because it's already made in the back.
It just like, there's almost no downside.
There's none.
Yeah.
It's just
I got this funny story for you. So I shot in Texas, shot a friend's wedding. Yeah. She and my daughters were young. They were probably 4 and 2 or something, somewhere around there. And so I was filming it, and then my wife was there, and then they were flower girls also. Aww. I don't think my son was born yet. So I think my wife was pregnant with our son. Yeah. And anyway, so this is 5 years ago. And so I was filming, and then but my wife got there, and I was walking them into their table, and then I was going to go back to filming. I was going to spend 10 minutes with them, and then as we're walking past the table, my 2-year-old just goes
on the cake.
Yep. Like 3 fingers, like
it wasn't even just one.
I was like, oh no. I was like, no.
Were you able to
she
fix
doesn't
it?
know.
No.
The bride was a really good friend of ours and super chill. One of like our favorite people in the world. Yeah. Prom queen energy.
Oh.
I think she was prom queen. And she just totally laughed it off. We were able to like spit. We were able to like smooth it out and spin the cake a little bit. Yep. No one knew. Nobody cared.
That's the difference of having a good wedding or a bad wedding.
I felt so bad. She, handled it like a champ. She, my daughter she was like, I don't know, okay, whatever. I just saw a cake, wanted to taste it. Yeah, exactly. But, a lot of people don't have kids at weddings, and that's
why.
That's where I. But she was a flower girl, so
she had to be there.
That was the cost. That was the cost of having a flower girl, was getting 3 little fingers through your cake.
I think that's sweet, and you can just take a knife.
Oh yeah, I think we just kind of smoothed it back out and turned it around, and no one knew.
Yeah.
So how do you? I don't know if you have to deal with this, but how do you handle sort of when clients have, really high expectations of maybe the budget doesn't align with their expectations? Yeah. How do you handle those tough conversations? That's
odd. I was just talking to a potential client yesterday about this. So we, depending on the package that people sign up for, full coordination is the only one that we do a budget because it takes a lot of time to, maintain their budget.
Yeah.
And so perfect example to her is I said, so what we do is we'll make that budget based on what you're wanting, and all of, the things that you're envisioning to have on your day. If we get to that budget and it's too much, and we've got to bring it down, you have to understand that means you also have to rein in your vision.
Expectations.
And so that's important. You can't have $100,000 wedding vision with a $20,000 budget. It's not practical. Yeah. So, we're just honest about it and say, this, we can't make a videographer, for example, charge half the price to fit their budget. They have to be reasonable with their request. And, if they want their wedding dripping in orchids, their budget's got to be pretty high.
Yeah.
So I'm realistic with them.
How do they share their vision with you?
Pinterest is like the biggest way that people do it.
So you're the one keeping Pinterest still around. Okay.
Well,
I know a lot. I know a lot of other people use it, but it's a good
illustrative tool.
Yep.
What I do like about it, and it could come from
You had to have
anywhere.
them create a board, and
They already have one before they even
really
consult with us. Most of them, like
have
9
you
out
seen
of
the
10.
trends when people from like 10, 15 years ago share their board? This was
Yeah.
my board from
Yeah.
2010 or whatever. They're always like bright color. It's just terrible.
Totally dated.
So do you ever get a board and you're like, oh God, oh no?
Not too often,
Okay.
Thankfully.
Usually they have good
There's
taste.
been a couple that I'm like, oh.
Well, they've probably grown up, gone to a lot of weddings. They
Yeah.
probably have some resources.
Yeah.
So they have good taste, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So thankfully, most of them, their boards are decent. They the only thing that's hard sometimes is there's too many too many pens. You know, you're like, okay, let's clean this up. You
Sure.
know, let's narrow this down. You know, if you liked this particular type of picture 20
Sure.
times, it's valid. It counts. But what was that one? You
Yeah.
were on a different
You
train
have
of thought.
3 different examples
Yeah.
of bridal bouquets, and they're all different.
Yeah,
very
like where were
different.
you on that one? So
Yeah.
can we unpin
Pick
that one?
Pick one.
So just narrowing it down so it's more realistic. But whether it comes from Pinterest or anywhere, some type of illustrative image, I think, is worth its weight in gold, so that we can see
Yeah.
what they like.
And then you're communicating that to like the florist and the
florist.
photographer. You're going, hey, here's their
Correct.
board, here's their vision.
Yeah.
Do you take their board and vision stuff and put it into a different format, or are you just sharing their board?
Well, so we always share the board because it's
Okay.
it's just a
It's
link.
there,
It's
it's
easy,
easy,
to
yeah.
just send on over. But then we completely grow and customize it from there. So the board just is the inspiration.
Okay.
And then we take the elements from it to create
cool.
the actual proposal that ends up being what you see on wedding day.
Okay, nice. That's great.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah. But that's the fun. That's the fun.
You enjoy
Getting-
that? You enjoy that process?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
fun. You know,
cool.
getting to, you look at a
I mean, you
picture.
keep saying it's fun. You're not convincing me, but I'm glad that you think
maybe
it's
you
fun.
could, maybe you work for SK for a day.
That would be fun, actually.
See?
All right, and then
I already convinced
I'll get
you
you a
right
camera.
there.
You can work for Ampersand
Yes,
family for a day.
absolutely.
All right,
Yeah.
let's do
I'm
it.
in.
That'd make for good content.
Yeah.
Your couples would not be happy if I had to like design something.
I don't know
cool.
that your couples would be happy with my
That's-
videography skills.
That's a good point. Just hand you a phone.
Yeah.
Have you had to deal with any sort of like high profile clients who
Oh,
want
yeah.
privacy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did a Bush wedding for President Bush's nephew.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yep.
So how do you handle the privacy aspect of it?
With that one, it was really just such a shame. Simply because they're high profile. The poor bride, I'll never forget. Her name's Sarah Beth. Absolutely loved her during the planning. And at the wedding, someone posted a photo of her, even though they shouldn't have posted. They did a whole buyout of Garden of the Gods Resort. And someone posted a photo online, ended up that morning on Time magazine, everywhere, because President Bush got caught dancing at the wedding.
Okay.
Which is no big deal. He's at a wedding dancing. He
Yeah,
should,
yeah,
you know?
Right.
But because someone from the guest list shared a photo, every magazine in the world had it posted by the next morning. So
Wow.
this poor bride, was eaten alive because people were critiquing things about her attire or things like, and it was
People need to
beautiful
go.
bride. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
gorgeous, stunning bride.
Just a bunch of basement
Just
dwellers
mean
just judging
people.
people. Yeah.
And so, she sat on it and she said, Stephany, God, I love you. And I want to share these photos, but the way that people reacted, I don't want anyone having them.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I will never share ever, never. Like I just got chills all over thinking about that.
That's sad.
And so, that's a wedding I pride myself in. I mean, it had, Ralph Lauren's son, Barbara Bush, George Bush. There were so many high profile people at this wedding, and I can't share it.
Junior and senior there?
No, not senior, just
Okay.
just
Okay.
junior.
Hmm.
But Jenna Bush Hager was there, Barbara Bush, all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a pen the boutonniere on President Bush. I was cleared by Secret Service of I think 3 people allowed to approach the president.
Wow.
Things like that. So it was an honor, and
Yeah.
I can't showcase it, but I will happily not do that for that bride.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I got chills again over it. I hated
That's
that
pretty
for
cool
her.
getting to pin a boutonniere on the
Yeah,
president.
I'm like, I have this sharp object going at a former past president. But President Bush was amazing. He was actually very good.
Yeah,
he was
he
kind
seems
and
like a
sweet.
chill dude.
Yeah.
He's a chill dude.
He left his so he doesn't drink alcohol, so he had a non-alcoholic beer, and he left it unattended. He handed it to me to go take photos, and it was unattended it was just on the table. I'm like, you can't just leave an open drink. So I stood there guarding it. I'm like, I have such an important job
You're
right
holding
now.
your hand and you're like,
I'm like, do not touch his
did
beer.
you feel like a part of Secret Service in that
I did.
moment?
I did.
You should get an honorary badge.
I actually had to kick a whole bunch of people. So this was one of those bridal parties where they had 10, 12 people on each side.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I imagine.
Right when ceremony started, the groom goes, Steph, there's people in the second row, and that was reserved for our bridal party.
Mm.
And so I walked up and like right before ceremony starts.
This is at the Garden of the Gods?
Garden of the Gods
Club?
Yeah. And I said, you guys, I'm sorry, but I need all of you to move to another row. This is for the bridal party. Well, it was President Bush's children, General Bush Hager, Barbara Bush, all these very high profile people. And all of a sudden Secret Service is coming at me as I'm kicking them out.
Yeah, yeah.
And someone goes, do you know who they are? I go, I absolutely know who they are.
Yeah.
I need the row.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Like my job is my job, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And I pride myself in that because, you know, Neil Bush, the father of the groom, he wrote me after the fact and he said, and thank you for whipping us into shape at that rehearsal. Because I was like, I don't care if you're the former president's brother or
that was just the rehearsal?
Ralph Lauren's son.
It was just the rehearsal?
No, this was on wedding day was that one.
Did you just have everybody move back a row?
They had to go to the back row, yeah.
Oh, wow.
I needed it for my bridal party.
They're important too.
I know. So, but at the end of the day, it's not about the celebrities are there. It's about my bride and groom.
Yeah.
You know,
making sure that day runs smooth and they're happy.
Yep. And I did it nicely, but I did it with authority to the point Secret Service never even got to me. Like they saw that I was in charge, and I'm like, thank you, bye. And then ceremony began.
You got to know, and you're really good about that, knowing when to have kid gloves and knowing when to take charge.
Yeah.
And just like make things happen.
It's
Force
a fine
the
line.
issue. Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that said, I want to know, what is your advice to like young Stephany when she's coming out? What advice would you give her now? Or maybe even like, what advice would you give to young planners who maybe want to break into the luxury world?
I just wish more people who are established would give those people a chance to get experience. Because I almost gave up on doing events because no one would let me in. And I'm like, I can't get experience if you won't give it to me.
Yeah.
And so that's why I started a company, was to give get my own experience. And so I pride myself in, you know, mentoring and interning with people to let them get that. I've seen a lot of people that we've hired over the years grow into positions outside of our company that I'm like, good for you.
Yeah.
Go get it, you know? And so whoever's inspiring to be, you know, in the event world, just keep trying, get that experience, even if you have to volunteer and do it for free. Fake it till you make it and get in there somehow.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
Cool. That's great advice. Yeah. What's something that you'd do different at this point? Knowing what you know now, what would you do different?
Here's what I would do. I would have started hiring people sooner.
Hiring more help?
Because 14 years in business, I would say 8 of them, I did it all by myself, like with just an assistant on wedding day. But I ran it all while making 3 beautiful babies and being a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And then it was when I finally had my 3rd baby, I was like, I can't do this all on myself, on my own. And so that's when I started hiring an amazing team. And now there's 8 of us, and they are just the most beautiful professionals.
You have a great team.
I do.
Yeah,
they're a good team. They're good
I feel like
friends.
some of them have even split off and go do their own things.
Yeah.
And I've worked with some of them. And so you have this like...
It's like a family.
Yeah, but it's almost like a tree. Like, you ever heard like the Belichick tree in sports? Like coaches, like good coaches have coaching trees where this coach was underneath, they split off and they now became a head coach. And and then they do the same thing. Yeah. So they kind of create these like, you know, trees underneath them. And I think you kind of have that as well.
Absolutely. But then we're there for each other when we need it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
And so having that team, I should have done it way sooner, you know, and take the control freak out of me.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It's hard to let go, though. It's hard to let go.
But now it's easier because I did. So I'm like, all right, let's do more hiring.
All right. So we already talked about Cassidy. Yeah. You have a great like Rolodex of vendors that you work with.
Sure.
How did you find them and how do you maintain those relationships?
So this goes back to just the beginning of when I started my company, going door to door to the vendors. I did the same with venues, or to the venues. I did the same with my vendors. You know, I'm going to do a shout out, Dan Laser Sound. Sorry, that just came to my head. So many moons ago, you know, I'm like, hi, I'm Stephany. I'm new, you know, and it's those people that I connected with that have seen me grow, have seen the company happen, have seen the team build, that they're reputable, they're reliable, they show up for my clients like you. I mean, you ever for you every number one on every, sorry for your other videographers, but you're my number one.
Well, thank you. I'm not for everyone, so it's fine.
So I have to have others, but
you need a few with, you know, diversity.
You have to. But because, I mean, we work well together. You've never let us down. You've always represented yourself, you know, properly for our client. It's a direct reflection on us, who we refer. So we do not refer people that are not.
My little secret is I try to make you happy before I make the couple happy.
That's why I'm going to massage after this. Got a gift card for thank you for referrals.
Hey. It is. That's the least we could do. So,
I'm grateful.
Okay, so when you find a good one, how do you follow up with them and maintain that relationship? Because I'm sure you have people coming and going in and out of your world.
Sure. I mean, I guess it just happens organically because we stay in touch because we still have clients together.
Yeah. So they have to do a good job. They have to represent,
Yeah.
you well, but then they also have to, there's like a personable element.
Absolutely.
Like you have to just get along with them well.
Yes. I love that. I'm a people person. So.
Do you know your Enneagram?
My what?
Your Enneagram?
I have it written down somewhere.
Okay.
I've done it before. It's like, I did like that whole like INFP or whatever.
Yeah, it's a little different than that, but yeah, essentially it's a personality type.
I have it recorded
it's like 1
on my
through
phone
9.
somewhere.
Okay. All right.
I don't know by heart.
After this.
Can you guess what it is?
No. No, you're unique. You're hard to pin down. Because you're kind of an extrovert like me, so I would want to say a 7 like me, but you're so organized, and most 7s are not organized. So I have no idea what you'd be. We'll talk about it after. I'll
take a test later and text
Maybe
you.
At the end of this, we'll pause, let you look it up, and then we'll hop back on here.
Yeah.
All right. So if couples could splurge on, I just have like 2 or 3 more questions, and we can wrap up. If couples could splurge on one thing, what would you recommend them splurge on? Like, what should they not, or at least what should they not skimp on?
Okay, linens. I see that.
Linens?
Linens. I know it sounds like such a simple question.
About linens, but that makes sense.
A tablecloth can make a world of difference in the way that the room looks.
Okay.
And it's not the most expensive thing, but it
makes it look nice.
Completely dresses it up. Even if you just choose a very light color or a light texture, it's.
I don't think I've ever once thought about linens.
Look at a picture.
That's probably because you have nice linens. It's probably like so in the video world, we say like no one should notice the sound. If people notice the sound of your video, that means that you did a bad job.
Yeah.
Right? Sound should go completely unnoticed.
Yeah.
Linens should probably go completely unnoticed.
Yeah.
It's like if you notice it, it's because it's bad.
Or it's too bright or too much or something.
Well, yeah, it's just a bad choice, bad material, you know what I mean? If you notice that. So if you don't notice the linens, I imagine, because I've never thought about the linens before.
Upgraded linens. So every venue has their basic house linen, which is just a cotton white or polyester white.
Sure. And they're just bleaching the heck out of it.
They're just bleaching the heck out of it. I mean, naturally they're used a lot. So, they're used often and frequently.
Yeah.
And so are the rented linens, but the rented linens are
much higher quality.
They're
probably
quality.
Replacing them more often.
They're doing, it's a different type of texture and touch. It might be like a satin. It might be it's an upgraded touch even. So it's a better experience for your guest even who's, touching the napkin.
You know what it is? I never get to sit down at a wedding.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
I'm never sitting at a wedding table. I'm in the back.
I'll make you sit at the next one for like 2 seconds just to touch the fabric.
I don't want to be responsible. I don't want to get that close. I don't want that kind of responsibility.
I'll set your vendor meal with a good napkin.
Okay. Yeah. Can we get that vendor room with we need some extra linens. I'm gonna
place it on your table.
All right. And then I asked you this earlier when we were starting, so you've had some time to think about it.
Oh gosh, I didn't think about it though. Say it and I'm gonna go for it.
What's just like something that you wish every couple knew about before they reach out to you?
See, I don't know why that one stumps me, but I mean, the biggest thing I always ask everyone, what is your biggest purpose for your day? What do you want to take home from it? I mean, like a couple I just talked to yesterday, guest experience is their biggest thing. Okay. Some others might be just that the 2 of them are in the moment of their day. Others, everyone has fun. Just, really tuning into what your real purpose is.
Can you turn your mic to you?
Oh, sorry.
Just turn your mic. You can move it. It's fine.
Am I good?
Sure.
Okay. Just knowing what your agenda is.
Okay.
What your purpose is so that we can make that happen. I sound a lot better when I'm like this.
You do.
God, why didn't you tell me this an hour ago?
You were closer.
I talk with my hands.
You gotta slowly move away.
I'm here now.
All right. And you can angle it away if you want to move.
Okay.
It's fine. We're wrapping up here. I think that's similar for us. One of the main questions that I ask is sort of like, what moment are you looking forward to most from your day? Of all the moments, there's a bunch of big moments. Which moment are you looking forward to most? And then we take note of that. And then when we're editing, we reference it, you know?
Yeah.
So we have a real basic questionnaire that we have them fill out before, about a month before their wedding. And that's one of the questions we ask. Because at that point, they kind of have time to think about it. A lot of times we're like, oh, are you guys writing letters to each other? Like, oh, we haven't thought about it. And I'm like, well, I like to mention it a month out so that you have time to think about it.
But, and then they write it the night before.
Yeah. I tell
They
them
really do,
type it
though.
up on your phone and don't write it out yet, and then we'll film you writing it. That's like my favorite thing
cute.
to do. It's like, so have it typed up on your phone,
Yeah.
and then we'll film you sort of
I
writing
love
it.
that.
And the other thing, wedding, if I doubt any other wedding videographers are watching this, but if they are, don't have them read the other person's letter. It's so weird when a bride is like, I can't wait to, for you to be my wife. It's like, it needs to be in their own words. Have them read their own letters that they wrote in their own words.
Yeah.
It's so much more powerful.
I agree.
So I feel like everyone always does the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason is because it's lazy, because they already have it.
Yeah.
You have to take the responsibility of, I'm going to take this letter to your bride. I'm going to take this letter to your groom after I film you writing it and reading it.
Yeah.
Then I will be responsible for swapping that. So it's extra work on the videographer, but that's how you build a good video.
Absolutely.
It's like one secret element.
Yeah.
So
And
that's
that,
a little bit of
that
my secret sauce.
first time going down the aisle that now I know.
Yeah. Well, now
that I've taken from you.
Yeah. Only a few hundred times.
Only
no
a
big
few
deal.
hundred times. I'll throw you like two of them this year that don't have a first look.
Either way, it's fine. Again, it's a personal preference. We like shooting both. It doesn't matter to us. We're going to capture those moments regardless.
Absolutely.
So. All right, Stephany, tell the people where they can find you.
All right. So sk.events. It's that simple. Like I had the longest name when I first started the company. It was skeventspecialist.com. Okay. And I never want to type all that again. So then I rebranded Pier 9. Thank you. I don't know why I'm doing shout outs. But so now it's just literally
it's fun.
It's fun. Gotta give love to the people that are good to you.
Yeah.
sk.events. That's it.
Yeah. So you have a very nice website.
Thank you. Thanks to Pier 9.
Yeah. Shout out Pier 9 again.
Sorry, I'm just giving.
Cool.
Giving
and then
my props.
SK events on Instagram. Do you spend much time on other platforms?
So Instagram, it is actually the original name of the company, SK Event Specialist.
Okay.
But I couldn't change it because that was how
someone's already taken it. Probably.
I don't know if we looked into it at one point, but there was a reason why we couldn't.
They'll find you.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yes.
So
if you go to
there'll
SK
be links,
Event.
wherever you're watching this, there'll be a link, or we'll tag her. So.
SK.events definitely has the link to the Instagram.
Stephany, I could talk to you for another 2 hours about wedding stuff, but we should probably end it here.
Okay. Well, thank you for inviting me on this.
Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
It was
Good
fun.
seeing you.
You too.
All right.